Welcome back to Luxe Insider with me, your host Anita Khatri. This week, I'm joined by a new guest. However, before I introduce her, here's a roundup of the happenings from last week. Boss, erstwhile Hugo Boss, has roped in TikTok star Kaby Lame in a multi-year deal to star in their latest rebranding campaign. He's also set to design a capsule collection as part of his contract. Generation Z all the way. With investments from Reliance Brands, Manish Malhotra has now set his sights to open an international brick and mortar store either in the USA, UK, or the UAE, where his brand has a huge following. French luxury conglomerate Kering announced the sale of the luxury Swiss brands Ulysse Nardin and Girard-Perregaux. These watch brands are no longer a part of the conglomerate, which otherwise owns Gucci, Saint Laurent, Balenciaga, Bottega Veneta, and others. It may be that these watch brands will thrive outside of a conglomerate like Kering, which is used to the fast paced world of fashion where trends, capsules, collaborations, and numerous collections must be churned out within a year's time. It will allow both Gerard-Perregaux and Ulysse Nardin to operate at a pace more in line with the intricacies and slower craftsmanship of the watch industry. It would be of high regard to own a Sandro Botticelli painting in the art world. And while many of the painter's works are displayed in museums, only a rare few make it to private collections. One such painting to recently come under the hammer was The Man of Sorrows. The painting was sold for 45 million US dollars at Sotheby's New York auction, making it the painter's second highest sale ever. That's all from the news from the past week. And now to the focus of this week's episode. I'm joined by a new guest, a renowned celebrity stylist, Eshaa Amiin. She has worked with the who's who in Bollywood from Saif Ali Khan, Akshay Kumar, the late actress Sridevi, Karishma Kapoor to today's younger lot of actors Kartik Aaryan, Ishan Khatter and others. Moreover, she adorns many hats. Isha has been the fashion director for Miss India organization for a few seasons. She's the only Indian stylist featured in PETA's vegan fashion campaign. Adorning the entrepreneurial hat, she founded her style consultancy, the Style Elevator. As the name suggests, her consultancy has an expertise in styling for luxury Indian weddings, day-to-day wardrobe management, personal shopping, style analysis, amongst other services. Oh yes, she also has her own label, the Eshaa Amiin label. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Let's hear straight from Isha. So, Isha, thank you for joining us.
Hey Anita, hi you guys. Thank you so much for having me here.
So, Isha, my very first question: how did you stumble on this career of celebrity stylist? Where and how did this journey begin?
So honestly, celebrity styling was not something that I had imagined that I would get into. I graduated in fashion and apparel design from NIFT Bombay, and I was a fashion design graduate. So I worked with a European export house that manufactured for various international brands, and my job kind of allowed me to keep traveling to various parts of Europe. And I remember in one of those visits, I was sitting on the lanes of Paris, and I just realized that, there is so much that people do with putting looks together. It's not just about wearing one designer outfit head to toe. It doesn't have to be a designer outfit that you need, that you wear. It's also about what you team it up with, what kind of shoes, what kind of bags, what kind of hair and makeup. It's an entire vibe that you create, and that is something that I was missing. I was working as a designer, and I wanted to. I kind of started leaning towards styling with all those beautiful VM windows, and so much that the streets in Paris were just like a runway. People were just walking as they're walking on the runway. They're so well dressed. So that's what kind of inspired me to come back and try something more. And yes, I tried styling just as like one of those temporary things that I would just want to do because I've been meaning to explore it, not knowing that I would stick around for the next 13 years. This is like my 13th year in styling.
So it was the capital of fashion in the world that inspired you.
That inspired. That's
That's
right.
so
That's right.
wonderful. So wonderful to know that. Yes, it's all about the total look, which matters, that impacts. So, were there some challenges that you faced along the way? Can you share with us?
You know what? I mean, I am somebody who loves challenges. I love it when my life is not monotonous. I hate. I'm somebody who could never do a desk job. So I'm always constantly when there is no chaos in my life. I feel like there is something missing. There has to be action. There has to be chaos. There has to be like multiple things happening at a time, and I feel like I'm someone who's always up for challenges, and I have like this whole childlike energy when it comes to something new that I've never done before. So yes, there have been a lot of challenges because it was a new line of it was a new career that I picked on, and entering into styling without any sort of support within the industry definitely had me struggle quite a bit to find my own feet, to build my clients, to get to know people in the industry, to even get to know how things work in the industry. Because from the time that we started off as, or rather, I started off as a stylist. Appearances and red carpets were not as big as it is today.
Exactly. I was
There
just
were
going to
film
ask you that.
shoots. Yeah, there were film shoots. There were other kinds of shoots, editorials and stuff, but not so much of red carpet. So appearances became like a thing. So we've kind of learned it, as with the journey.
If I may add on that, I don't know exactly which year you stepped into the world of styling. That would be interesting to find that out. But styling to get, I would imagine that it would have been with the editorial shoots that you
That's right.
kickstarted. Okay.
So
If
no,
you
I didn't
kickstart,
kickstart with editorials.
okay.
It was a Khan appearance for Deepika that I was first assisting on. And there were no things like there was nothing like an airport look. When it came to red carpet, we had very few limited like award nights or maybe say there were no multiple film promotions. There weren't personal appearances. There were no paparazzi at that time. You know what I mean? Paparazzi writing who's wearing what. That wasn't. There was no social media like Instagram. Social media was, I think, the most happening thing back in the time when I started. It was 2010 when I got into styling. I think Facebook was the only social media that people kind of had. So there was no paparazzi writing. There were no blogs writing about. I think that was that time when just Miss Malini had started. She was probably one of the first Bollywood bloggers that we had in the country. We didn't have to worry so much about actors repeating shoes, actors repeating a pair of jacket or shoes or whatever that they have. It wasn't so much of a stress. What was more important is making sure that they're well dressed at the red carpet for whatever award night that they're going for. But having said that, so I started off with ads. I started off with multiple things. I started off assisting, a stylist called Gautam Kalra at Lakme Fashion Week. I started off assisting Anita with celebrity styling, which involved a lot of ads and award nights and stuff. But movie promotions were not such a big thing back then. People wouldn't have to, movie promotions like they happen today. It wasn't as big back then. So yeah, so there was a limitation when it came to celebrity dressing. People mostly sourced for red carpet gowns. Like today, we're sourcing for like the most casual look, like for a Zoom interview for an actor, like for the most simplest of things is what we're also looking into.
So, what I'm hearing is that basically this world of digitalization and social media has,
Transformed the game of styling completely. Yes, yes.
of course, you mentioned a few things already to us, but if I had to compare, styling then in 2010 versus styling now in 2022, how would you put together a look for a celebrity? Would there be difference between then and now?
So, yes, absolutely. I think styling back in 2010 was about only dressing up for the red carpet, only dressing up for, say, the premiere of the movie, or only dressing up or using a stylist when you have an ad or a film shoot. But styling in 2022 is dressing up for everything, even if you're doing a, like a social media post for anything, if you have to be seen, be it online, offline, wherever, if you have to be seen stepping out to go buy a smoothie from, a popular coffee shop, or just for a dubbing, or just for anything for that matter, you need to be seen dressed in a certain way. You need to be seen like you're well put together. So right from your everyday sneakers to your joggers. So today we work with actors and more into building their style, more into building their wardrobe. We work on putting together a wardrobe for them, which they can utilize for every public appearance, online or offline, whatever that they make. Whereas back then we were only focused on getting them ready for a certain event, for a certain shoot. But here it's an entire thing. Even when we travel for personal trips, we're constantly shopping for our clients. We know whose style is what. Because there's constant paparazzi, and there is so much of a need to not be repeating your clothes, or even if you repeat, it has to be done in the most interesting way, so that you don't look like you don't know what to do when it comes to dressing up. So there is a whole lot of thought that goes behind getting a celebrity out there today.
For sure, two things come to my mind, and I was smiling when I was listening to you, because then this can be easily called as the era of stylist, because more demand for stylist, and much more opportunity for stylists or any beginner to get into the styling as a career. That was one part, and the second thing that it would be that much more tougher when you say that you are actually helping celebrities to make their wardrobe. Also, it would get demanding for you to source from brands. So it would have been far easier, I'm presuming, huh? Please correct me and enlighten me with your expertise, that sourcing from brands in 2010 would have been comparatively easier than sourcing from brands, from luxury brands I'm referring to, or collaborating with luxury brands. How difficult it is versus then and now?
Back then, we had very few limited international brands who kind of had some PRs or some representation in India, and we would easily get pieces from them, right? But today, what's happened is, and they were more than happy to dress like the big names, which is even today. Bigger the celebrity, better the brands who want to dress them. So, but today, where the game has changed is, with so much going on, and with so many celebrities, and there being a demand for even like casual pieces to be sourced, and most probably if they could be international, nothing like it. So the demand has become so huge that our work is not just limited to sourcing from designers who are accessible to India, but reaching out to brands and designers in the farthest of cities, be it reaching out to design some Lebanon designer sitting somewhere, somebody in Eastern Europe, somebody in, so we kind of work round the clock now. Earlier, we would probably have, like, say, the malls shut and, our job is done. Having said that, today my team works, say, in the day they are working with Indian designers, in the night they're speaking to designers in the US. So it is literally become such a vast game that you can't you just have to be able to reach out to anyone anywhere around the world, and all they want is images of a celebrity, wearing them, tagging them. They just want, that's enough for anyone to get marketing and publicity for their brand, right? Or to reach out to an Indian audience. So a lot of these film industries are not as big as Bollywood. Okay, of course, there is Hollywood, there is Bollywood, and and multiple other countries have their own regional film industries, which aren't as vast as this. So Bollywood still does have a standing when it comes to a lot of designers across various countries, because they do have some sort of influence on them. And which is why our job today has multiplied many times, because we're not just looking at designers who are available here or who have a representative in India. We're actually reaching out to designers, and we want to reach out to newer designers and brands who no one else has reached out to yet. So there's a constant hunt that we're doing, which is exciting. At the same time, it is a hell lot of work to do. But yeah.
Yeah, world is your market now. World is your market. It's no longer India only. Your world is your
Absolutely.
market.
Absolutely. And it's offline stores, online stores, so many things. There are multiple avenues that we're trying to tap into and source from. And yeah, so
Quite a sounds like quite a lot of hard work
yeah,
and
that's
a lot
right.
of pressure.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I heard that you were mentioning about luxury brands will be most receptive when it is a celebrity wearing something, and you're sourcing for a celebrity which is an A-lister. But what happens if it is a celebrity which is just a newcomer who's stepping into the world of Bollywood? So would luxury brands open to such kind of sourcing?
So basically, of course, a lot of luxury brands are more than happy to dress like prominent celebrities, established ones. But strangely now, when it is a newcomer, they're still open to dressing them up. Uh, of course, they look at a lot of factors, be it which banner is launching, this debutant, who is he or she a star child, because then they know that they are going to be seen and promoted in a big way. So there are a lot of factors. They also look up who is this person, how do they look, do they have a great personality, do they have they been wearing a lot of luxury brands. So all of these factors kind of matter for a brand to decide to dress a newcomer. But at the same time, we don't limit ourselves to just reaching out to luxury brands who have a presence in India. We try, or who have a kind of a name within the Indian audience. We try and reach out to brands which are very unheard of, designers which are very unheard of, but is great talent, and they're really in some countries where not many of us would reach out to in terms of shopping and stuff. So we kind of reach out to designers in Beirut and so many places. It's like you said, the world is your market today. So if we don't manage the bigger names here, we know that we definitely can reach out to names where there's a lot of young international talent who would be interested in this kind of marketing, where social media can help them in a big way.
For stylists who are just beginning their career, because as a stylist, if you are not having the name today, everybody knows who Eshaa Amiin is. So it gets a little bit easier maybe that when you talk to a luxury brand and ask for sourcing, they probably will not ask you so many questions. But people, stylists who are just beginning their career, if they knock at the door and they say like, I want to dress a newcomer, because they are starting their career, they obviously are not dressing an A-lister, they will dress the newcomer. So can you elaborate on that? Yeah.
So yes, there is a certain kind of a credibility that goes with the stylist that you pick. So for example, if the brand also, because there is a certain relation that we maintain with brands, we have been maintaining over the past 10, 11 years. We have been retaining our relations with various designers. We've been, attending fashion shows for them, doing posts for them, helping them with our A-lister clientele, wearing their pieces, etc. So when it comes to us reaching out to them for a newcomer, yes, there is a certain difference, because when there is an absolutely unknown stylist who would come to them, they would probably think twice. But if it is someone like us who's already worked with them on multiple projects and has seen the collection and has identified what a certain newcomer could look great in, and when we kind of convince them, it's a lot to do with your relations, with how you could convince a certain brand to be a part of a certain collaboration. It does make a difference when you have certain relations with these designers. It is easier. Each stylist has its own way of getting through certain designers. So you're right. I mean, if I reach out to, say, a Gucci, that, hey, look, this is somebody I see promising who could fit into your brand, they will look at it considering our past relations, where I have given them certain appearances which really worked well for them. So there is going to be a certain, how do you say, preference there in being able to source, because I have already seen certain pieces, I've already seen the collection. I know what I want. I have access to it. Maybe some of the pieces are already with me and hasn't worked for my A-lister client, and I know that it'll fit in here. So then the brands do kind of, you know, they are happy to explore, they are happy to experiment or take a chance with someone new and see if that really works. So yeah, I mean, I think sourcing for a newcomer has various ways of permutations and combinations that you can play with in terms of getting your way around, and there are many, many ways to do that today.
And you talking about styling, the one question which I would not go without asking you was, is there any actor that, who's easy to style with? Who has been very easy for you to style, and which project was the most difficult and why?
I'll tell you. So one of my, I think currently somebody who I really find very easy going to work with is Neeraj Chopra, the the Olympic gold winner. So I think with him, what I love about him is he's very open to ideas that you present. He's very easygoing. Also, being somebody from the sports background, sports people are always very different from Bollywood in the way they kind of are receptive to ideas. So I think he's somebody who I find is very easygoing, at least currently amongst my clients. Saif Ali Khan is quite easygoing. I've enjoyed working with him quite a bit. And amongst difficult,
Most difficult ones, and or something which is a project which you'll never be able to forget. It has been the toughest for you.
so it's actually a web series that I'm currently working on. Where the brief keeps changing every day, but I don't think I'm going to talk about it now until it kind of goes on floor. But having said that, I think one of the challenging movies that I did, which when it came to me, I was a little surprised as to would I be able to manage it. That was Sing is Bling. I it was my first movie, and a star like Akshay Kumar, and somebody who has no understanding. I'm the South Indian who has no understanding of what a pagdi and a patka and all of that is, and how to tie it and all of that. So it was a lot of learning. I learned a lot of things about the culture, about the history, about various kinds of pagdis, about so there was a lot that I researched on. So it was a great learning. It was a challenge which was fun, which seemed difficult initially, but while exploring it, I realized that if it's done right, it's really not so much of a challenge. It wasn't so difficult. But yes, it was something that I did have to put in an extra bit in.
So you mentioned to us that styling a sports personality versus Bollywood is far easier. That's what I hear.
It's
And
not
now,
far easier. I'll put it this way: Bollywood is used to facing the camera, is used to knowing what works for them, what doesn't work for them. A lot of Bollywood stars are very well. They have an understanding because this is what they do, right? They face the camera. They're always dressing up for shoots, so they do have a fair bit of understanding on what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and that gives us more clarity, and that kind of gives us a lot of inputs from their end. Whereas with sports people, a lot of them are not so used to dressing up. For them, it's, they're used to carrying their own bags for their tournaments, they're used to tying their own shoes. So a lot of the sports people don't come with that kind of an exposure when it comes to styling and dressing up. They, of course, love their sportswear brands. They love their sneakers. They love. So these are some common things that we always see amongst sports celebrities. But a lot of sports people are more open to ideas because they're more like a canvas that you can, like a blank canvas that you can play with in different ways, versus certain
Bollywood stars,
yeah, with Bollywood,
they are
I
more
feel like
receptive.
they know what works for them. So then it kind of makes, you kind of puts you in that direction, that okay. Whereas in sports, they come in like that blank frame that, look, we'll just go with what you say. So that kind of a thing.
So, you mentioned about, how Bollywood already knows what they want, or, they know how to pose in front of camera. How do you manage to balance this style requirement, expertise versus that what the celebrity may feel very strongly about? The celebrity or a Bollywood actor may say that, no, I don't like white. And you may feel that, okay, for styling him in white would complement him. So, how do you balance that?
I think there's always going to be a creative. It's healthy to have like a creative debate on things, because if that's not happening, then you're doing something wrong. That's what I feel. So, of course, Bollywood stars, they do have a certain fair bit of idea of what works for them and what doesn't work for them. But it's you as a stylist who has to make sure that you bring in something new for them, that they haven't tried before, because like you said, it's not so they're not so difficult to taking ideas, as long as you prove it. Say if you're trying to push white on an actor who never wears white, then you get a white, get them to try it. You style it in a way that white doesn't feel boring to them at all. Maybe you throw on some pop colored accessories, a pop colored shoe. So you just kind of work around with them in a way that they have to feel comfortable about the trend that you're trying to get them in. Because eventually, if an actor is not comfortable wearing what they're wearing, it's going to show on their face. So your first most important thing is, fine, it's great that this is a trend and you want your client to kind of adapt to that, but at the same time you have to make sure that they adapt it when they're perfectly comfortable owning it, like wearing it, because that's so important. Yes, so your expertise and their demands can kind of meet at some point if it is done the right way. So healthy debates are always important when you're in any sort of creative industry.
Agreed. Any message for our younger audiences interested in taking up styling as a career?
Well, I would say just focus on learning the work first. Don't just get into styling to become a social media influencer, or to just get a tag from or credits from whoever you're planning to work with, because that's not the end of that's getting a credit on someone's page does not mean you've achieved style, you've become a stylist. It's important that you first learn the job, learn how this industry works. Patience is important, because the only challenge that I face today is that anyone who comes in first wants Instagram credits. And I'm like,
there was a time when we started when there was no Instagram. We worked day in and out and not having anyone give us any credits anywhere. But, somewhere I feel like leave aside, those credits will happen. They will happen eventually. They will happen when you've, learned the job. But focus on learning this line of work because it is hectic, and forget your weekends. If you're getting into celebrity styling, it is a line of work that we work kind of round the clock. So your client is first. Client always comes first. So keep that in mind. Even if you have to be like down to earth, humble about doing odd things like tying a shoelace for an actor. It's fine. It's all a part of styling. You have to carry heavy shopping bags. It's all a part of styling.
I'm sure the aspirational stylist will thank you for the detailed, words that you have said and shared with us. What is your favorite luxury item that you own currently?
So currently, it's been one of my recent buys. It's the Gucci Aria 2022. It's a bag from the Gucci Aria 2022 collection. It's called the Horse Pit. So it's inspired from the races, the horse races, the derbies. It's quite interesting. It's got like the whole paddock pattern and stuff. It's interesting. I think it's black in color with hot pink and neon green and orange as it's like this bag which kind of works with so many different things that you could wear, and it is a limited edition. So uh, you know it's an unusual Gucci. So I think I kind of enjoy pieces like that which you won't see too often.
You describe it so well that I'm curious to go and have a look at the bag
You
now.
should.
Totally,
You
I will
should.
do that.
At the first glance, somebody would be like, "Oh, it's beautiful, but so many colors in a bag. I don't know if I'm going to be able to wear it." Where people are very like they have this thing about I'll buy a black bag, a gold bag, a tan bag, and that's about it. These colors, I know how to play with them, but this is as tricky as it may look in the first place. I'm telling you, it is one of those pieces that you can play with in so many ways, and it's gonna work. It's gonna work.
I'm sure to check this out. And I'm sure many listeners also would go and check out. So, what about any luxury item that you aspire to add to your existing collection?
Wow, that's a long list.
Uh-huh.
I think there is this purse from the new Bottega collection, which I'm looking at adding to my wardrobe very soon. It's this beautiful green, which they've kind of done for the first time, and I'm looking at adding that to my collection very soon.
I'm sure you'll do that very soon and you will enjoy the same. Thank you. We are conscious of the time. Thanks, Eshaa. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you so much for having me.
And that was Eshaa Amiin. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Luxe Insider. Thank you for listening. I'll be back next week. Until then, I'm your host, Anita Khatri. And of course, follow this podcast if you aren't already.